You've been lied to. For years, every survival guru, every prepper channel, every tactical bro with a sponsor code has been selling you the same beautiful lie. They show you their 70-pound bug-out bags, their 50 essential items, and they call it preparedness. I call it a mistake with shoulder straps. They lied. And that lie is dangerous. It's dangerous because when the lights go out for good, the guy with the massive pack is the guy who doesn't make it. He's too slow, too visible, and too weighed down by comfort trash that stops mattering the second his knees give out. The survival industry is selling you a fantasy camping trip. I'm preparing you for collapse. This isn't about saving money, though you will. This is about cutting through the noise to get to what actually works when everything else has failed. We're going to build our foundation on the multiplier rule. If a tool only does one job, it's a liability you can't afford. We're not packing gear. We're packing capabilities. Forget the catalog of lies. We're getting down to just 10 tools. 10 capability generators that will get you through the night. These are the 10 tools you actually need. Number 1. The cutting tool. Let's start with the most mythologized tool of all, the knife. The lie they sold you is the Rambo knife. A massive, serrated, hollow-handled behemoth that looks like it belongs in a fantasy movie. They tell you the sawback is for cutting through airplane fuselages, a scenario so absurdly specific it proves the fantasy they're selling. This is utter nonsense, and it will get you killed. That sawback? It's a gimmick that snags on everything. It's too short and the teeth are too shallow to effectively saw wood, and its presence creates a massive weak point along the spine of the blade. The compass they screw into the pommel? It's a cheap toy. Even if it doesn't break from the shock of you using the knife as a tool, its reading will be thrown off by the massive piece of steel it's attached to. It's a decoration, not a navigation tool. And the hollow handle, the ultimate lie? It's the weakest point of the entire knife, a guaranteed failure point where the blade is crudely welded or screwed to the handle. The second you put real stress on it, like batoning a piece of wood for your fire, it will snap. Now you have a dangerously sharp piece of scrap metal and a useless handle, and you've just wasted precious calories and time for nothing. The emergency room no longer exists, and a deep laceration from your own failing gear can be a death sentence. The truth is, you need a simple, robust, fixed-blade knife with a full tang. Full tang means it's one solid, uninterrupted piece of steel from the tip of the blade to the butt of the handle. You can beat on it, pry with it, and use the pommel as a hammer because the entire tool is a single unified piece of metal. It will not fail. Look for a blade made of high-carbon steel, like 1095. The tactical bros love their exotic, high-tech stainless steels, but for a real survival tool, you want the proven toughness of carbon steel. It holds a razor edge, it's incredibly resilient and resistant to chipping, and crucially you can strike it against flint or chert to create sparks for fire. You can't do that with most stainless steels. Yes, it will rust if you neglect it, but you're not going to neglect your primary survival tool, are you? A 4 to 6 inch blade is the functional sweet spot. Anything smaller makes essential tasks like splitting wood a major chore. Anything larger is clumsy and inefficient for the fine carving work needed to make traps or tools. Number 2, the fire starter. The next lie is the romantic fantasy that you'll be rubbing 2 sticks together like a TV survival star. They make it look effortless, cutting to the shot where a magical ember appears after a few seconds of rubbing. They don't show the hours of exhausting work, the search for the perfect tinder-dry wood, the blisters, and the crushing despair when it fails. Do not be fooled. Attempting to make a friction fire when you are cold, wet, injured, and under extreme stress is a recipe for failure and a catastrophic waste of life-sustaining calories. The other lie is that a Bic lighter or a pack of so-called waterproof matches is enough. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Lighters contain a finite amount of fuel, their plastic parts become brittle and crack in the cold, and they are notoriously unreliable when wet. Matches are even worse. You have exactly as many chances to make a fire as you have matches in your container. Once they're gone forever. They are a finite resource in a world that demands infinite reliability. Relying on them is betting your life on a consumable item. The truth you need to embrace is the infinite spark, a high-quality, oversized ferrocerium rod. I'm not talking about the tiny keychain version that's more of a novelty than a tool. You need a thick, military-grade ferro rod, at least half an inch in diameter and several inches long. This is the most dependable fire-starting tool ever invented by man. It works when soaking wet. You can literally pull it out of a river, wipe it off, and use it. It works when frozen solid. It has no moving parts to break and no expiration date. A good ferro rod will provide you with 15,000 strikes, each one throwing a shower of molten metal sparks at over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That is more than hot enough to ignite a wide variety of natural and man-made tinders. Using it is a simple, fundamental skill that you must practice. You prepare your tinder, be it birch bark, fatwood shavings, or cotton balls with petroleum jelly. Hold the sharp 90-degree spine of your knife at a 45-degree angle and scrape firmly down the length of the rod. A cascade of white-hot sparks will erupt directly into your tinder bundle, which will burst into flame instantly. This isn't just a fire starter, it's a multiplier. A brilliant flash of sparks is a powerful signal device, visible for hundreds of yards at night. The fire it creates is your key to survival. It purifies water, cooks food, dries clothes, hardens the tip of a wooden spear, and is a powerful psychological weapon against darkness and despair. There is something primal and powerful about creating fire at will that tells your brain you are still in control, you are still a human, you can still dominate the environment. Forget the fantasy of rubbing sticks. Carry a lighter for convenience if you must, but you bet your life on the unwavering reliability of the ferro rod. Number 3. The container. For years, the gear industry has pushed complex plastic hydration bladders with long tubes and intricate bite valves. They market them as the pinnacle of hydration technology, perfect for the on-the-go operator. For a recreational hiker, they're a convenience. For a survivalist, they are a critical liability. The lie is that these complex multi-part systems are superior. The truth is, they are fragile, single-purpose items that will fail when you need them most. The soft plastic bladder is easily punctured by a stray thorn, a sharp rock, or the corner of another tool in your pack. A slow leak can drain your precious water supply without you even noticing until it's too late. The drinking tube can freeze solid in cold weather, completely cutting you off from your water. And, most critically, you cannot put it in a fire. You cannot use it to purify water. You cannot use it to cook. It's a single-use unitasker, a glorified plastic bag that only serves one function and does so precariously. In a survival scenario, that is an unforgivable flaw. You cannot afford to carry a tool that only does one thing. What you actually need is a simple, robust, single-walled stainless steel water bottle, ideally 32 or 40 ounces in capacity. The key phrase here is single-walled. Those popular fancy vacuum-insulated bottles are completely useless for survival. They are designed to keep your coffee hot, not to save your life. If you put one of those in a fire, the sealed vacuum layer will superheat, expand, and can literally explode with the force of a small grenade, sending shrapnel flying and destroying your only container. A single-walled bottle, however, is a true capability generator. This one simple tool fulfills two of your most critical survival needs. 1. It carries your water securely. 2. It purifies that water, which is arguably more important. You can scoop water from a questionable stream, nestle the bottle directly in the coals of your fire, and bring it to a rolling boil, killing every virus, bacterium, and protozoan that would otherwise incapacitate you with violent illness. But this is where the multiplier rule truly kicks in. It's also your cooking pot. You can use it to make pine needle tea, boil edible roots, or cook a small fish or frog. Fill it with boiling water, wrap it in a spare piece of cloth, and you have a hot water bottle to tuck into your jacket, warming your core and fighting off hypothermia through a dangerously cold night. In a desperate situation, a 32-ounce bottle filled with water weighs over 2 pounds and has enough focused mass to be an effective, last-ditch defensive impact tool. The modern hydration bladder is a fragile convenience. The simple steel bottle is a lifeline. It is your canteen, your pot, and your security. Number 4. The cover. You have been told and sold the idea that you need a high-tech, $1,000 four-season tent. The marketing shows a cheerful camper, safe inside a fabric dome, impervious to the elements. The lie is that this expensive complexity is necessary, or even desirable, for shelter. It's not. It's a liability. A modern tent is a fragile system of proprietary poles that can snap in high winds, zippers that jam with dirt or freeze solid, and delicate, paper-thin fabrics that a single floating ember from your fire can melt in a second, leaving you exposed to the rain. They are surprisingly heavy, bulky, and an absolute nightmare to set up in the dark, in the pouring rain, or with freezing hands. They are designed for a campsite, not a collapse. They isolate you from your environment and from your most important tool, your fire. You cannot have a fire inside or safely near most modern tents, cutting you off from your primary source of warmth and security. They are, in essence, portable fabric coffins that offer a false sense of security while being incredibly vulnerable. The truth is, one of the most effective, lightweight, and adaptable shelters known to man is a simple, high-quality tarp. I'm not talking about a cheap blue plastic sheet from the hardware store, but a purpose-built nylon or sil poly survival tarp, ideally 8x, 10 or 10x 12 feet, with plenty of reinforced tie-out points. The genius of the tarp is its infinite versatility. A tent can only ever be a tent. A tarp, however, can be whatever you need it to be. It can be pitched as a classic A-frame in fair weather, giving you excellent coverage. It can be set up as a lean-to, which allows you to sleep alongside a long fire, reflecting the heat onto your body all night long. In a brutal storm with driving wind and rain, you can pitch it low to the ground as a turtle shell or a plow point, creating an aerodynamic and completely waterproof burrow that sheds wind from any direction. Learning to pitch a tarp with a few basic, reliable knots is a fundamental survival skill. It connects you to your environment, forcing you to pay attention to wind direction and landscape features rather than simply isolating you from it. And, of course, the tarp is a master multiplier. It's a ground sheet to keep you off the wet earth, a rain poncho, a waterproof wrap to protect your gear, a makeshift stretcher to carry an injured person, a signal panel, or a massive rainwater collector that can funnel dozens of gallons of clean water into your container. Don't buy the portable fabric mansion. Embrace the elegant, brutal simplicity of the tarp. It's lighter, more versatile, and forces you to learn skills, not just assemble a product. In survival, skills weigh nothing and can never be taken from you. Number 5. The cordage. The survival world has been utterly obsessed with paracord for the better part of a decade. It's been touted as the be-all, end-all of survival cordage. The lie isn't that paracord is bad, it's a decent general-purpose cord. The lie is that it's the best tool for the job. It is not. Believing this lie can lead to critical failures in your systems when you can least afford them. The most significant, and often overlooked, reality of paracord is that it is made of nylon, and nylon stretches. It stretches a lot, especially when it gets wet. This might not seem like a big deal, but when you pull a ridgeline for your tarp shelter perfectly taut, you want it to stay that way. A paracord ridgeline will stretch and sag overnight, especially in the rain, causing your shelter to lose its structure and potentially start pooling water. This requires constant retightening, which is the last thing you want to be doing in the middle of a cold, stormy night. Furthermore, the smooth, woven sheath of paracord is slippery. It doesn't hold knots as securely as other materials, and knots can loosen and slip under tension or with changes in temperature and humidity. And the celebrated inner strands? Gutting paracord to get to that bonus cordage is a fine motor skill that is frustrating in ideal conditions and nearly impossible to perform with cold, numb, or wet hands. The truth is, for the vast majority of survival tasks, a far superior option is tarred mariner's line, also known as bank line. It's typically made from polypropylene or similar synthetic fibers and is coated in a black, waxy, tar-like substance. That coating is the secret sauce. It is what elevates this cordage from good to exceptional. The tarring makes the line almost completely waterproof, so it won't absorb water and stretch. It dramatically increases its abrasion resistance, so it won't fray when running over a tree branch. And most importantly, it gives the line a sticky, grippy texture that holds knots like they're glued together. A ridgeline for your shelter made of bank line will hold fast and remain taut all night with virtually no stretch or sag. A spool of #3x bank line, a common and versatile size, has a tensile strength of around 320 pounds. This is more than enough for building shelters, rigging traps, lashing tools, repairing gear, and countless other tasks. It's also thinner and lighter for its strength than 550 paracord. You're not using this line to rappel down a cliff, you're using it to build, lash, and rig the things you need to stay alive. For those critical tasks, the unflinching knot-holding ability and stability of bank line is far superior. Carry at least 100 feet of it. It is one of the highest value, lowest weight items you can possibly have in your kit. Number 6. The light source. Here's a simple one, but the distinction is absolutely critical. The lie is that any old flashlight will do, especially those massive, aggressive-looking tactical flashlights with a sharpened strike bezel on the end. The marketing for these lights is built around a fantasy of combat, of using your flashlight as a weapon. They have a fundamental crippling flaw for a survivalist. They require one of your hands to operate. In a real survival situation, your hands are your most valuable, most essential assets. Everything you need to do to stay alive, process firewood, build your shelter, administer first aid, cook your food, navigate treacherous terrain, requires both of your hands to be done safely and efficiently. Trying to split wood or set up your tarp's ridgeline one-handed while clutching a flashlight in your other hand, or worse, in your mouth, is dangerously inefficient and dramatically increases your risk of injury. A slip of the knife or saw because you were working one-handed can be a catastrophe. The tool you actually need is a modern, high-quality LED headlamp. The simple act of moving the light source from your hand to your head is a revolutionary leap in capability. The ability to have bright, reliable light, perfectly aimed wherever you look, while keeping both of your hands free is not a luxury, it is a core survival necessity. Look for a quality, water-resistant, or waterproof headlamp from a reputable brand. It must have multiple brightness settings. A high setting is great for hiking on a dark trail, but a low setting of just a few lumens is perfect for tasks around your camp. It preserves your night vision and can run for hundreds of hours on a single set of batteries. Even more important is the red light mode. Red light does not wreck your eye's natural adaptation to the dark. This allows you to turn it on to find something in your pack or check your map, and when you turn it off, you can still see in the darkness around you. This is critical for maintaining situational awareness. And think about the batteries. A headlamp that runs on common, ubiquitous AAA or AAA batteries is far more practical for long-term survival than a proprietary rechargeable one. You can carry numerous spares, and AAA batteries are the most likely type you could scavenge from abandoned homes or vehicles. The tactical flashlight has its place perhaps, but for your core survival kit, the hands-free utility of a headlamp is undisputed. It allows you to be a worker, a builder, and a medic, not just a person holding a light. Number 7. The warmth multiplier. There is perhaps no single piece of gear more dangerously maligned and misunderstood than the Mylar emergency blanket. The lie you've heard, repeated ad nauseum across forums and comment sections, is that they are useless, flimsy, noisy garbage. This is almost always parroted by armchair experts who have never been truly life-threateningly cold and have never had to rely on one to survive. This is one of the most dangerous myths in the survival community, because believing it will cause you to leave a life-saving tool out of your pack. The truth is, a Mylar blanket is a phenomenal piece of space-age technology that can absolutely be the difference between a miserable night and fatal hypothermia. Your body loses the vast majority of its heat through thermal radiation. The Mylar blanket works by reflecting up to 90% of your body's radiant heat right back at you, wrapping you in your own warmth. It's not about generating heat, it's about preventing its loss. But to be effective, you have to use it correctly. The common mistake is to just drape it over your shoulders like a cape, which allows all that precious heat to escape. You need to treat it like a sleeping bag or a bivy sack. Wrap it completely around your body, from head to toe, tuck it under your feet and pull it up over your head, leaving only a small opening to breathe through. Yes, it's crinkly and noisy. Yes, condensation from your breath will form on the inside. But you will be dramatically, life-savingly warmer. Survival is not about comfort, it's about staying alive. And the Mylar blanket is a master of the multiplier rule. You can lay it on the ground beneath you as a ground sheet to create a barrier that stops the cold, wet earth from sucking the warmth out of your body via conduction. You can string it up behind your fire to create a fire reflector, which bounces the fire's radiant heat onto your back, warming you from both sides simultaneously. It's also a highly visible mirror-like signaling panel that can be seen from miles away by search aircraft. Because they are so cheap and weigh next to nothing, you should carry more than one. If one rips, you have a backup. If you're with someone else, you can save their life too. For the cost of a few dollars and the weight of a few ounces, the Mylar blanket is the most effective life insurance you can buy. Number 8. The load carrier. The survival industry perpetuates a myth that bigger is always better when it comes to your pack. They show off massive 80-liter or even 100-liter expedition packs, covered in MOLLE webbing and a dozen extra pouches, implying you need to carry a mobile command center on your back. They sell you a fantasy of being prepared for every imaginable contingency by carrying a specific item for each one. This is a dangerous lie that actively encourages the single biggest mistake in survival planning: overpacking. A huge backpack begs to be filled. It whispers to you, encouraging you to add just-in-case items, comfort gear, and redundant tools until it becomes an 80-pound anchor of misery. A pack that heavy will physically destroy you. It will exhaust your muscles, sap your cardio, and dramatically increase your risk of a debilitating injury from a slip, trip, or fall. It makes you slow, clumsy, and a highly visible target. The person with the biggest pack is the person who gets exhausted first and can't move when they need to. The truth is, the right pack is just big enough to carry your essential, multi-use tools and no bigger. For the minimalist capabilities-based kit we are building, a 35 to 50-liter pack is more than enough space. A smaller pack is a tool for discipline. It forces you to scrutinize every single item, to ask, does this serve multiple functions? Is it truly essential? It shifts your mindset from what can I bring to what can I live without. More important than the exact volume is the fit. A poorly fitted pack, no matter how light, will cause pain and fatigue. You must understand that a modern backpack is designed to carry up to 80% of its weight on your hips, not your shoulders. Your powerful leg and hip muscles are meant to bear the load. Your shoulders are just for stabilization. Therefore, a padded, load-bearing hip belt is non-negotiable. So are load lifter straps, the small straps that connect the top of the shoulder straps to the top of the pack, and a sternum strap. These components work together to pull the load in tight to your body and transfer its weight properly. Go to a real outfitter and get properly fitted by someone who knows what they're doing. A well-fitted pack feels like a part of your body. Your bug-out bag is not a storage locker for your fears. It's a life support system that must allow you to remain mobile, agile, and energy efficient. Always choose mobility over clutter. Number 9. The water purifier. We've already established that your single-walled metal bottle for boiling is the gold standard of water purification. Boiling is the only method that is 100% effective against every type of pathogen. The lie, however, is a lie of omission. It's the idea that boiling is always the best, or the only, option you need. This thinking is dangerously rigid and ignores the dynamic reality of a survival situation. The reality is, boiling has significant downsides. It takes time you might not have. It consumes resources. You have to gather fuel and build a fire just to make your water safe. What if you're on the move, trying to put distance between you and a threat? Stopping for an hour to build a fire and boil water isn't an option. What if you're in an environment with no dry fuel, or it's pouring rain and getting a fire going is a monumental ordeal? What if making a fire is a tactical mistake? The smoke and light from a fire can be seen for miles, giving away your position to anyone who might be looking for you. Relying solely on boiling makes you vulnerable in all these scenarios. You need a fast, foolproof, and discreet backup, chemical water treatment, specifically tablets or drops that use chlorine dioxide. These are not the old-school iodine tablets that made your water taste like a swimming pool and were less effective against certain protozoa. Modern chlorine dioxide is a powerful disinfectant that kills viruses, bacteria, and tough-to-kill protozoa like Giardia and Cryptosporidium, which is a major advantage over older methods. The tablets are tiny, individually sealed, and weigh practically nothing. The method is simple. You scoop water into your bottle, drop in a tablet, seal the lid, and wait. The time varies, but it's typically around 30 minutes for full effectiveness. This allows you to purify your water while you are walking. You can fill up at a stream and have safe, drinkable water a few miles down the trail without ever breaking your stride. Frankly, in a real survival situation where you are dehydrated and exhausted, a slight chemical taste in your water is the least of your worries. It's the taste of being safe from the debilitating, life-threatening dysentery that would otherwise take you out of the fight. Redundancy is the key to resilience. Have the bottle to boil as your primary method at camp, but always carry chemical treatment as your immediate, on-the-go backup. Number 10. The wood processor. The final lie is the romantic and pervasive image of the rugged survivalist wielding a large axe. In movies and on TV, it's the symbol of mastering the wilderness. While an axe or hatchet certainly has a place in a long-term static camp where you're felling large trees for a log cabin, For a mobile survivalist in a bug-out situation, it is often overkill, incredibly inefficient, and one of the most dangerous tools you can carry. The truth is that for 90% of the wood you will need for fire and shelter, a high-quality folding saw is a far superior tool. The danger of an axe cannot be overstated. Chopping with a hatchet, especially when you are cold, tired, and your coordination is off, is one of the quickest ways to suffer a catastrophic injury. Glancing blows can send the blade into your shin, and overstrikes are notorious for landing in a foot. A deep arterial bleed in the backcountry is a non-survivable injury. A saw, on the other hand, is incredibly efficient and comparatively safe. It works on the pull stroke, using smooth, controlled body mechanics instead of violent, percussive force. You can process a 6-inch log into firewood with a fraction of the caloric energy you would expend chopping it, and with minimal risk of injury. Furthermore, a saw is quiet. The sharp, percussive crack of an axe striking wood can travel for miles, advertising your location to anyone within earshot. In a world where staying unnoticed might be key to your survival, that is an unacceptable breach of sound discipline. The quiet zzzz of a saw, by contrast, is far more discreet and blends into the background noise of the woods. For shelter building, a saw is unparalleled. It allows you to cut precise notches for joining poles and creating strong, stable structures, a task that is clumsy and difficult with a hatchet. You can even use it to rip-cut a log lengthwise to create flat boards for a table or bed platform. Look for a well-made folding saw, like a Bako Laplander or a Silky Gomboy, with a locking blade between 7 and 10 inches long. It weighs less than most hatchets, takes up less space in your pack, and provides far more utility, safety, and efficiency for the tasks you will actually be performing. Ditch the heavy, dangerous axe and its romantic, false image. Embrace the quiet efficiency of the saw. So there they are. A fixed blade knife, a ferro rod, a metal bottle, a tarp, bank line, a headlamp, a mylar blanket, a well-fitted pack, water tablets, and a folding saw. Look at this collection. There are no batteries to charge, no software to update, no delicate parts to break. This is a kit built on capability, not complexity. It's a system where each tool works with the others. The knife scrapes tinder for the ferro rod, the saw processes wood for the fire. The tarp shelters you so you can tend the fire that is boiling water in your metal bottle. It's a web of interlocking capabilities. For years, you've been told that preparedness is something you can buy, that if you just had this one more gadget, you'd be safe. It was a lie. Survival is not in the gear you carry, it's in the knowledge you have and the skills you've mastered. These tools are the keys that unlock your ability to apply your knowledge to the real world. Stop buying the gimmicks. Invest in these 10 fundamental tools. But more importantly, invest the time to take each one out into the woods and become an expert with it. Learn to use them until they are an extension of your own hands. That is where you will find true preparedness. Not in a catalog, but in your own 2 hands. Thanks for watching. If you want to see how to actually use these tools to master the skills we've talked about, check out this next video I've put together on building a life-saving shelter with just a tarp and cordage. Stay prepared and stay safe.